So welcome everybody, and sorry for the delay. Technology is what it is, and if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, and then everybody would be learning Italian in the cool way that you're learning. But obviously, not everybody can do this. So let me ask you if you have any questions of purely Italian concepts from Unit 1 that were not clear, or something that you want a little bit more information about. So we are talking about Unit 1. So I'll keep an eye on the chat and try and see as many questions as possible. Now, one thing that I ask you to do, if I start answering somebody, it's best if you do not keep asking questions. Otherwise, I won't see it because I'm explaining the first one, okay? So Unit 1, the topics for Unit 1 were, well, apart from what's inside the course, but it was mostly pronunciation, how to pronounce Italian. We did a bit of vocabulary, and then we talked about whether Italian is easy and what would make it easy for you to learn. And then we did a quiz that I'll tell you about it more. And then there was a fast forward. Okay, so let me have a look. Unit 1. I speak Spanish as well, but the R in Italian is different than the R in Spanish, right? Okay, pause your questions. The R in Spanish and the R in Italian, it's actually not that different, and you're very lucky that you speak Spanish, because Spanish R is a lot closer to Italian R than English R, because they're both frontal. Well, you find that Spanish R is stronger in general than Italian R, but what you have when you have Spanish R is what you have in Italian when you have a double R. Or, let me just show you, I'll type it. Okay. What you have in words like this, it's a little bit, it's still softer than the Spanish R, but it's definitely similar. It's Roma, Roma. Or when you have double R, guerra, guerra. The way I say it in Spanish would be guerra, guerra. It's kind of the same. It's a little bit softer in Italian when you have this, for example. But it's pretty much the same. Armonia, armonia. That's for harmony. So I say, if you know Spanish, you're good with Italian R, okay? Now, you said, stop the questions, stop the questions, stop the questions. You said we should not use ciao. Is this correct? Yes. I mean, it's not like you can't use it, but it's such a restricted usage, especially for you as adults visiting Italy and not visiting friends. I mean, it's different. If you go to visit family, you're going to say ciao all the time because it's your family. But overall, as a visitor of Italy who's not a kid, you will not be using ciao a lot because everybody you know is going to be an adult and a stranger. So it's best if you don't use it. If you happen to make a friend, eventually you'll say it, but okay. Open and closed E is hard. Okay, perfetto. Open and closed E. First of all, in the video I said, it's not too important that you get it right because Italians don't get it right. So let me try and say, again, I don't remember what my examples were, but the open E in Italian is like the E in egg. So, egg, e. So imagine, like, I don't know, like that kind of sound. It's e. The other one, I'm going to say, there's no real English equivalent. I've given you words like hey. It doesn't really exist in English, so that's why you probably can't hear it. I'll give you Italian words with e. Here's one. Enfasi, enfasi, which means emphasis, right? Ente, ente, which is an organization, or the one that you're probably going to use more is gente, gente. So these ones have open E. Now, I'll give you some closed E's. Mente, mente. Gente, gente, mente, mente. Is there a slight difference for you? If you can hear it, it's not really a big of a problem, okay? Because, like I said, Italians don't make it all the time. But gente, gente, try and add egg afterwards. So say je, but then add egg. So gente, gente, gente. With mente, your okay, imagine that you're like, so can bring it down a little. Oh, Johan, facciamo finta che sono doppiato. Let's pretend that I'm dubbed. Yeah, that's what's happening. It's a poor dubbing. Okay, euro. Great question, because this one was a bit of a struggle for a lot of you. Chris, you're still wanting to emphasize the U. Okay, so you don't want to say euro, which many of you have been saying euro. It's e. So euro. So how do you do that? So say e first, like e by itself. E. And then you attach the little u. Eu. Imagine like in Australia we got the oi. This one is eu. Same idea, okay? So it's eu, euro. Don't worry about the R. The quality of the R doesn't really matter in Italian that much, okay? So it's euro. Here's a word that you may have heard before. In Italiano, this one is eureka. Same sound, eu. In Rome, there's a suburb called, it's very famous, Eur. Does this help? Can you hear the difference between this one and the one that I said you shouldn't do, like euro? Because when you say eu, you're really doing the ooh, right? You don't want to be doing the ooh. It's all about the a in this case. It's euro. You have to make the U really, really small, pretty much. Otherwise, it's going to stand out. Okay, so. Let me have a look. Johan, per contare le parole che conosciamo in italiano, possiamo contare tutte le coniugazioni dei verbi? Per esempio, mangio, mangi? Good question. Okay, so if you're wanting to know, like, how many words do I know in Italian? Do you count verbs as words? There are two line of thoughts. My instinct would be, no, you just count the infinitive. So if you know mangiare, that's one word. And then if you know the conjugation of mangiare in the present tense, you have 6 little mangiare. If you know the passato prossimo, you have another 6. So, you know, with one verb, you could have like 90 new words. So I wouldn't count them. But in all fairness, when you look at the list of the top 2,000 words of any language, that are the top useful words, I mean, the ones that speakers of the language use daily, they count every little variation. So is one of the top words in Italian. Now, is only one version of essere, which is the verb to be. So in that case, they're actually counting every conjugative verb. So it's up to you whether you think you know 6 verbs with mangiare in the present tense or whether you know 1. What's the difference between ciao and salve? That's a good one. So ciao is extremely casual. Family and friends and children. Ciao, it means hello and goodbye. Salve is like a step up. It's not as formal as buongiorno, which is like super chic, you know, like buongiorno, super up there. Salve is a little bit more. My advice is careful to use it. Use it only when you see them, when you meet them, not when you go away. When you go away, it's still better to say arrivederci or alla prossima or buona giornata. They're much better. So don't use it when you go away. But when you get there, you can say salve if you think the context is relaxed enough, but they're not friends. So I have never used salve with friends, unless I'm being funny. Because to me, salve sounds still a little formal. So I wouldn't use it with friends. So, but if you walk into a shop and you don't want to say buongiorno, you can totally say salve. It's just as good, okay? Now, salve, because it's semi-casual, like it's semi-formal, if you met the president of Italy, you wouldn't say salve, you would say buongiorno. So it is a little casual. Okay. In this chat, can we use ciao? Yes, that's a great question. For example, when I teach Italian at the university, we use ciao with each other. In theory, teacher and student don't become friends, but in practice, we are. So it's totally okay. Once you create a community, it can all be casual. So we can say ciao to each other and we can use each other's first names, yes. Okay, Dwayne. I don't understand your question. Microonde or microonde? I think that's the same. But yes, do you want to hear the double O? Yes. Okay, let me just type it. It's like you're saying microonde. So microonde, there is a double O there, which is rare for Italian because we don't like double vowels like that. Perfetto. Nareen, our Italian consonants sound the same as English consonants, like t, p, k. They're the same. There's actually a lesson in Unit 2 that covers Italian consonants. Not all of them, but basically I tell you that most of them sound the same. And then I tell you the ones that do not sound the same, and we'll have specific lessons on those in future units. So, but p is the same. K is the same in sound, not in spelling. Some can have a little variation. For example, t can sound the same, but many times it doesn't, just because in English it changes a little when you've got T and R. It just changes in English, whereas in Italian it stays t. So if you have a t, then it's good. But of course, it's not going to be the same when you compare the American way of saying that word and the Italian way of saying it, because in Italian we keep the t the whole time. So that one is spaghetti. So it's still a t, like you say in Tom. Right? In American English you don't say dom, but you say spaghetti. So you have to keep the t, then they're the same, okay? Dolly, I think your problem is not just your own. So your open A explanation goes along with my question. It's hard for me to hear the Italian sound E. I often confuse it with the sound A. Perfect. They do sound the same sometimes, like honestly, they do sound the same. Sometimes when I say this with the Italian E at the end, a lot of students hear grazia, which is a name, right? Grace. The word is grazie. The thing is that we never say a single word really by itself. We usually put other things afterwards. So the last vowel of a word can sound a little different at times. So that could be the problem. But the real problem, I think, is that you are not very familiar with how this sound really, because it's ah. The example I give, apart from words that would have the same, like, we say father, like it, none of those words really work because it's an Italian ah. The other day, I said a word and I realized, okay, this is a much better ah than any other ah that I have in English. Idea. I think most people and most variations of English have the A of idea as an A, idea, whereas other A's in English will change depending on where you are. So, A. The example I give is the dentist. Imagine that you got the dentist going in and you got A. That's the Italian A. Whereas E is the open A that you're saying, it's A. So maybe if I pronounce them like this, you can hear them. So I'm going to do this one first, E. And I say, and I'm going to do this one, it's ah. Okay, they're quite different. I hope this helps a little. Now, Marcos, I have a doubt regarding R at the end of foreign words like bar. Yep, I have an Italian audio book that the speaker says, yes, perfetto. Love this one. Whenever you have Italian words end with a vowel, unless they're foreign. So, for example, great example, Marcos, this one is a foreign word. This one is a foreign word. And they end with R. Now, in English, they end with an English R. Like, so it's bar, or it depends again which English you speak, but computer. So it's either no R if you're like British English, or computer, and it goes really deep in your R if you're American, but it's a totally different R. In Italian, it stays an Italian R. So bar, computer, you have to hear it. Now, some people who speak the dialect mostly, there's a lesson on dialects coming up soon, but some people who only speak the dialect, or their Italian is pretty poor, usually for lack of education, so they speak mostly the dialect, they cannot have a word end with a consonant because it's just un-Italian. And so what they do is subconsciously add a little E. So some people would say bare. So you actually might even hear a vowel afterwards. That's because they are just not able to pronounce the R at the end. Perfetto. I'm just trying to... Rotem, we have a lesson on doubles coming up. I think it's Unit 5, okay? Chris, are you shadowing me right now? I'm glad I'm not there because that would be very annoying to hear you shadow me, but no, it's a great exercise. Jacqueline, we'll cover ye in a future lesson. Jeannie, accents, we cover accents in a future lesson. I'm sorry, I'm trying to, I want to answer your questions, but at the same time, I don't want you to be concerned with things that are not important right now. Claudia, okay, what's the difference between felice and contento? First of all, I've changed the Quizlet so that it's got like happy 1 and happy 2. So when you're learning on Quizlet, you learn that it's happy 1 or happy 2. The main difference is this. Let me just type the word, and I'm going to have to move on to Unit 2, otherwise we'll hear all day. Okay, I don't want you to think of contento as content. Because when you're contento in Italian, you're happy. But it is a lower level of happiness. So felice is when you've got like the inside your gut happiness, okay? Felice. Felice is like you're really happy from the inside. Contento is like saying that you're satisfied with the outcome of something. So you're happy for something, but it's not a life-changing happiness. It's not like, are you a happy person? If I want to say, are you a happy person? I'm going to say felice. Benissimo, okay. Okay, Diane, how do you pronounce ciliegia? I'm going to answer this one because it's quick. That's cherry, and it's ciliegia. Ciliegia. in Italian, in the GIA combo, it's pronounced già. There's no I, you don't pronounce it. So ciliegia. And Narine, how do I pronounce your name in Italian? It depends. I mean, are you going to say Narine without a final E? If you say a final E, then I would say Narine. I wouldn't say Narine unless you spelled it like that. Okay. Benissimo. And let me see. Okay, I'm not sure if I understand guest question about being puzzled about imbuto, espresso, albero. Okay, the article. We covered the way to say the in Italian in unit 4, so it's coming up. The answer is the second option for all of them. It's L' to mean the, okay? Now, perfetto ragazzi. Thanks for your questions about unit 1. Now we move on to unit 2, okay? And unit 2, let me load it up. So I kind of revised what we covered in unit 2. Now it's going to tell me to join the webinar. Hopefully not. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, don't show me again. So unit 2, we talked about gender, adjectives, indefinite articles, how to say the, and then we did a bit more pronunciation, basically. Did we not? Yeah, I think we did. Okay, so indefinite articles. Is everything okay with the indefinite articles with how to say the? Oh, sorry, how to say a? Okay. David, you said some vowels are stronger than others when they are next to each other. Okay. Oops. I can't get... Oh, here we go. Let's take the word for rain. It's pioggia. Pioggia. Here we have the E and the O. But only... Oh, I'm extremely pixelated. Is my face very pixelated? Doesn't matter. When I say pioggia, I have the E and the O. The O is going to stand out. When you have a struggle between two vowels, the E is the weakest one. It kind of tends to let go the power to the other vowel. So it's pioggia. So that E is there, but it's not pioggia, okay? So that's what I meant when I said that when you have two vowels, often one kind of accepts defeat. Okay, so other times it doesn't happen. Idea. Here you hear both the A and the A. Idea. Okay, so it's not something that you can predict. My advice to you is with this. Whenever you have the E, it's usually the weaker of the two vowels. Then when you have the E in combos, like that, the E is just silent. So it's cha and ja, and you don't even hear it. So that's what I meant. Could I pronounce... That's the word for stool. That's the thing I'm sitting on right now. It's sgabello. Sgabello. There's a lesson on S and Z coming up soon. If I were to spell it badly, it would be sgabello. Belinda, how can you not like Italian vowels? They're like 5 times easier than English vowels. A, E, I, O, U. That's it. A, E, I, O, U. You pronounce them like that and you're good all the time. Now, Giacomo, I wish, is there a trick to know when words are accented and so on? Not really. We'll cover word emphasis very soon. I think it's coming up in unit, I don't know, I can't remember. But the thing with Italian is that unlike Spanish, it won't put an accent unless it's at the end of the word. So words like this, you're going to get right. You all got identità right. That's because you visually see an accent on the final syllable that tells you that's the one you're stressing. But all other words will not tell you. So here's a word that, just to confuse you, the last two words, they're two different words in Italian. If you say ancora, ancora, so you're stressing the first a, ancora is an anchor, like, you know, when you go fishing or with a boat, ancora. If you say ancora, which is the one you're going to say the most, it means still, as in I still haven't done that, or I'm yet to do that. So but they look the same. There's no way for you to know. Now, there's not many of these pairs in Italian. Like, Italian is pretty straightforward and unique in words, but you can't really tell when to stress a word. But in the lesson on word stress, I'll give you some tips. And what's the difference between corto and basso? Perfetto. Okay, so basso has to do with the height of something. So, for example, I'm not a tall person, I'm basso. Io sono basso. I'm short. If you have a desk, compared to a coffee table, the coffee table is basso. The height is short. So it's short for the height. Corto means short for the length of something. So, for example, if, let's say you buy auricolari, you buy like headphones, and the cable is too short, you want to complain that it's too short, you would say that it's corto. Corto because it's short in length. So that's the difference. Benissimo. And Rhonda, the accent, the direction of the accent is, look, I find it's important, but it's not important to most Italians because they don't get it right. So basically, in Italian, you have accents, I don't know if I can, accents going from top left down, or accents that go from bottom left up. The good news is that all the vowels will use the first one. So a, e, I, o, u. So this is the one that you'll find in all words. The only one that has both options is the e, which also has it the other way. The way this corresponds to sound, because that's what you want to know, is whenever you have a word with an accent, you're going to open up the vowel. So it's going to, but the thing is that a only has one pronunciation, so a is going to sound a even with an accent. U is going to sound u even with an accent. I, which I forgot, sorry. I with the accent is still going to sound I. So, for example, as a bird, don't ask me what it is in English, it's colibri. The only reason the accent is there is to tell you that you should emphasize the bri. So you're not saying colibri, you have to say colibri, but the way the E sound is the same anyway. So the only vowel that will have an open and closed sound at the end is E, because it's the vowel that has it. So just to see if you can hear it, but oops. If you look at those E, one has an accent one way and the other has the accent the other way. If I say caffè, I'm using the open E, right? Caffè, caffeg, caffè. I say egg at the end just to show you. Caffè. But if I say why, I say perché, perché. I can't add egg to it. It's perché. It's not perché. But because Italians have accents, regional accents, a lot of Italians say perché. So the accent is really wrong for them. I mean, that's the good way of writing, but to them, it doesn't really correspond to what they're saying. Okay. Christy, I like your question. Let me just have a look. You use basso to describe a short shower. Would you use corto to mean the shower in regards to length or time? Yes. Okay. There's a third word that means short, and it's breve. In English, you have brief. So if the shortness is about time, you can use breve. So una doccia breve, there would be a short as in quick shower, short time. But yes, you could say corta. If the shower is short, meaning not quick, so short time, you could say una doccia corta, but I would say breve. Breve, brief, tends to sound much better when it's short about time. Marcos, we have a lesson coming up with Z or Z, how we pronounce it. I'll just say the words that you asked me, but there's a lesson coming up on how to pronounce that consonant, this one. So it's pizza, mezzo. It's a different S sound. Pizza, S, like ants, and mezzo, like eds. So in Italian, you have two ts sounds, like two sounds for Z. Ts and z. And we'll cover when to use each, okay? Colibri, hummingbird, perfetto. Okay. Alan, is the only way to know the gender of words that end with e, like cane, canale, is to look them up on a dictionary? Well, yes and no. Looking them up on a dictionary is the easiest because you can do it, but if you're learning the word because you're speaking to an Italian, then you can't because you don't have time, because you're speaking. So you have to pay attention to the other things that they're saying. So in Unit 4, there's going to be something about this, and I will use the word tende. Actually, no, I don't like this one. What did I say? Okay. Use the word ventilatore, which means fan, as in when it's hot, fan. Ventilatore. You don't know if it's masculine or feminine, but if you hear it from an Italian saying, hey, my ventilatore is broken, yeah, they would say rotto, that means broken. They might also say questo, which means this. So this fan is broken. They might say, you don't know this one, but it's il, which means the. Il ventilatore è rotto. So they are going to say stuff about the ventilatore that is going to give away that it's masculine. We didn't know, but now we do. Ok, perfetto. Allora ragazzi, are we ready to move on to Unit 3? If you're at Unit 3 and you have questions, bring them up, please. Okay. I saw a question from Jason. I didn't show up, but I can see here. Is prego a synonym for di niente in most situations? Let me think. Well, in most situations, prego is what we say when somebody says grazie. So grazie, prego. So it's like in English saying you're welcome. But and when we say di niente, it's like saying, don't mention it. So in that case, yes, it's the same. They're synonyms. But careful, because prego has another usage that I haven't explained yet. Prego is what you will hear a lot because it means please when you are allowing somebody to do something, not the please that you say in English when you like, I like a glass of water, please. That's when you're making a request, and that's the word for that one is per favore, just in case you know it. Like in the Spanish, por favor. So if you're making a request and you want to say please, you can say per favore, which is different. But in English you can say, oh, please sit down, please come in. So you are saying please, but you're actually offering them to do something. The word in Italian is prego. So prego is not always a synonym of di niente, because in that case it doesn't mean you're welcome, obviously. Bene. Chris, we call my father uomo vecchio in a joking manner because this is a colloquial usage and we are poking fun at the age. Is it okay? Yeah. So vecchio means old, and in the video, in the lesson, I said that don't use it to talk in people's faces to say, oh, you're old. But family, friends, is totally fine. Yeah. But yeah, if you see somebody older, you wouldn't, talk about them or to them respectfully by saying vecchio. You would call them anziano, which means aged or elderly, as opposed in English. Grace. I'll answer technical questions at the end, okay? I'm focusing on the language, and then once it's out of the way, we'll talk about the technical stuff. Aaron, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. In Italian, it would be Aaron. I was trying to put together a short sentence using di niente, and it translated strangely. Yeah, of course. Because if this was Fight Club, rule number 1 of Italian Fight Club, you will not use Google Translate. Okay, I'm joking. Oh, Aaron, beautiful. Aaron, you will not use Google Translate. It doesn't work because it doesn't know what you mean. It can't, Google Translate could translate things like, it doesn't work. Just don't use it. Okay. Think about, even if I said the glass is full, doesn't glass also mean the material with which a window is made? How does Google know? So it's just really difficult. So when you say di niente to Google, Google looks at di niente and it says di means of and niente means nothing. So it's going to probably give you that your sentence means of nothing. But then it doesn't make sense when you hear it, when you translate it, okay? How do you call Armenian? Yeah. If you remind me, I will create the entry in Quizlet. Armeno or Armena. So if you're Armenian man, Armeno. If you're Armenian woman, Armena. Armena. Okay. How do you say your name in Italian? Walfred. Tricky. If you say it to them, it's not very hard for them to say. It's like Walfred, if that's how you pronounce it. So I would just say it. They may not be able to spell it. The reason it could be tricky is because of the W. This name in Italian is Walter. Walter. We are used to Walter. So if you say Walter, they have no idea what you're saying. What's your name? Walter? What? Okay. It doesn't make sense to them to hear Walter. But I think that Walfred sounds all right. They haven't heard Walfred either. So they're not going to get confused. So I wouldn't be worried about changing your name. Okay. Paul and Alan, you're talking about I translate and reverso translate. They're better because they don't really say that's the translation. They give you the context. Then you can say, okay, which glass are they translating? Is it this glass that it's translating or is it the material? Then you are able to make like a judgment call based on what you know to be the context. So yeah, that's why Google Translate is very confusing. Any other questions about Unit 3 that I can help you with? Let me have a look at what we covered. Unit 3. Unit 3 was the big one. Unit 4 is also very big. And then we take a little rest in Unit 5. So we saw Italian subjects and formal, informal, Italian verbs, how to conjugate all other verbs, unless they're irregular, the verb essere, to be, sentence structure, and then, well, vocabulary. That was your first translation. When we talk about the what's coming up in the platform, you'll love what I'm going to say. Okay, let me have a look. Candice, you like a link to dictionaries? Yep, I'll do that. I can even put, I don't know if it makes any sense to give you access to an Italian like only dictionary, because that's going to give you the definition in Italian. It may be a little too hard, but I'll give you a bilingual link, yes. Marcus, regarding in la, the la in arrivederla is the same explanation of for piacere di conoscerla. Yes, if you heard the expression piacere di conoscerla, if you have seen this expression, that la means you, la means her, but because I'm addressing that person formally, I have to say her to mean you. Funny thing. But piacere di conoscerla is pleasure to meet you. If I was casual, I would say piacere di conoscerti, and that T means you. That's advanced stuff, okay? You don't have to do it, but that's what it is. Okay. Greetings. With use formal. You meet family of your fiance. Yes. Actually, it's one of the examples I think I used. But yes, if you meet for the first time adults and you're an adult, it's expected that you'll be formal. So yes, if you meet the parents of your fiance for the first time, you're going to totally be formal. Now, if you meet their siblings and they're the same age as you and you are under 30, then you're going to be casual because they're the same age as you and you are considered young, language-wise. If you met the siblings of your fiance, but you are like 40, 50, or 60, you would still be expected to be formal to them, even if they're the same age, because now you are not young language-wise at all, because you're over 40. That's my issue, because I don't really like to use formal, but because I'm 41, I kind of have to. Perfetto. Alan, will getting formality wrong as a tourist greatly upset most Italians? It's not about upsetting, but it is an important, like I said in the lesson, it's subconscious. So they're not gonna intentionally say that person is rude. They know that you're a learner of Italian and that you're not native. So then it's not like they intentionally say, oh, you're rude. They would do that to me. If I walked into a doctor's office and I said, hey, ciao, dottore, hey, ciao, come sta? I would just be casual. That I would be perceived as rude. As an adult, I would be rude. If a foreigner does it, it's not necessarily intentionally thought as rude, but subconsciously it is. It will affect your experience. If you say ciao, and of course you're going to say it with a smile on your face, like I understand that, but subconsciously, trust me, Italians will have like a little ooh, and they may not know what's happening in the brain, but it does affect the way they respond to you. Okay. Is Russian Russo and Russa? Yes, Russian man, Russian woman. Say. Yeah, Jacqueline, the formality thing is so strange from the USA and Australia. Oh yeah, or New Zealand. We're never formal with anyone. Yeah, I know. It is very different concept. In Italian, we are always formal, unless we're friends. Now, on the test, you used the example, you're meeting friend of your best friend, same age as you. What do you use, formal or informal? Yes, that was a tricky question. If you're meeting your friend's best friend, it depends on your age and where you meet. If you're 20 and you meet your best friend's friend, it's going to be casual all the time because you're 20. If you're 40 and you meet your friend's best friend, it'll depend how, if they're dressed in a suit and you meet them at a bank because they're introducing their best friends as the bank manager, you're going to be formal, even though it's your best friend's friend and you're the same age. But so it's anything over 30 makes it difficult, and then the context is also going to affect what happened. But same person, your best friend's friend who's 40 and the bank manager, but you meet at your best friend's party, probably casual. Benissimo. Okay, so I'm going to move on to some technical things. Oh, okay, I got more questions. To say I spoke to my mom, would you still say parlare? And how do you say bless when you... Okay, yeah. Well, if you spoke to your mom, in English you're using a past tense. So the verb is still parlare, to speak, but you have to conjugate it in the past tense, which you don't know yet. And if somebody sneezes, we say salute. Salute. It means health. Salute. Johan, ho una figlia di 12 anni, lei sta imparando italiano con me, grazie. Very happy to hear. Johan's daughter, who's 12, is learning Italian with us. Yes. Okay, so let me talk about some technical stuff. First of all, I know that there's been technical issues. It's a huge platform. It's never been done before to do this much stuff, technology, to teach a language, but at the same time, it has to stay simple because it's not about the technology. It's about how the technology can help us improve our Italian. And so I hope that the platform is helping you. When you come across, now I've just added, I don't know, you can't see it in this. It doesn't quite fit, but in the bottom corner of each page, there's a little lifesaver thingy. If you click on that and you start typing your problem, you will come up with a tutorial. Now, I haven't created tutorials for everything. I'm still filming and creating them, and I have to improve them, but they're there to help you. I just don't want technology to detract from your experience with learning Italian. So your focus is, can you watch the videos? Can you use the PDFs? Are you putting in the time? These are the 3 things that I want you to really be doing. Sometimes you can't download the PDF. There's a tutorial explaining why, and it's because the links are secure so that they cannot be shared. So when you load a page and it gives you a link to download a PDF, if it was a link that was valid forever, then these links could be shared. Not from you, you never know. So the link is only good for a few minutes. So when you click after you finish the video, the link has expired. So you just have to load the page again to get a new link. But anyway, speaking of things, I know that 2 things are bothering you the most. The first one was the audio recording widget. First, we had the problem that when I include the widget on the page, some of you couldn't use it as difficult. Now the problem is that there are still many steps. There is no technology that I own. If this platform, by the way, the reason sometimes I can't really take your, I take your feedback, but I can't implement it because it's not my technology. If I had to develop my own technology to deliver this to you, I'd be spending $100,000 just to create the software. So I have to use a third-party platform. The good thing is that they are looking after it, but the bad thing is that I'm not their only customer. So I know that you all would love for the lessons to visually tell you that you've completed the lesson here, right in the menu. So we kind of want this little bullet here when it's loading. I hope it doesn't. Okay, we want these bullets to show you that you've taken the lesson. It's not happening. Okay, I've told them. They said that it's in the pipeline, so hopefully they'll do it. But there's no timeline for when that's going to happen. Same thing with the comments. Actually, I have a big announcement about the comments. So, and that is, right now, comments are kind of pointless. First of all, it's not a way for you to ask for help, because I'm already working 16 to 18 hours a day doing this. Plus I have a job. But what happens with those comments, they're easily lost. If you're in Unit 3 right now, there are still people taking Lesson 1 of Unit 1. So I would have to keep my eyes on 50 lessons. And then as we progress, I'm going to have to keep my eye on 100 lessons looking for the new messages. It's just not a useful way of helping you. So also the problem is that when somebody responds to you, the platform doesn't tell you that you have an answer. So again, you ask the question, I answered, but somebody answers and you don't know. So the comments were introduced as a temporary fix or a temporary community building something, but the real community is going to be built around two new features. One is a forum. So there's going to be a forum. So the comments will be turned off very soon because they're not helping you. And there will be a forum on a separate page. There'll be a link here on top of the top of the page where it says my courses, and there's going to be a link to the forum, and the forum is going to be divided into units, and then maybe it's up to you if you want to have a thread, like a forum topic for each lesson, or maybe we just want to have collectively about the unit. That way, two things will happen. When somebody responds to you, you'll get an email telling you there's a reply. And I, or somebody helping me, can do that as well. So because there's one place and it's searchable. So when you go to the forum, you don't have to ask, I can't download the PDF a million times, hoping that somebody answers, because you just search and you find the answer that somebody has given somebody else. So that's the first community building tool that is coming. It's the forum. I haven't brought it in yet because it's the integration. I don't really want you to have to create an account for the forum when it's already on the website. There is a way for you to just log in into the platform and already have access to the forum. But because it's not my platform, I'm not managing. I'm not an IT person. I'm goodish, but I'm trying to find a way for you to already have an account for the forum just because you're logged in. So